Hi, I'm Olivia.
And I'm Callum.
And we've been given a challenge.
Animal-Aid has asked us to do a report about vivisection, which is where animals are used in laboratory experiments.
To find out how and why this is done and see if there are any alternatives. Should we get going?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to hit the high street to find out what products are tested on animals.
And I'm off to talk to a doctor who can tell me more about animals in medical research.
So I was just wondering, what made you get into medicine?
I became a doctor because I wanted to help people and prevent suffering, which is why I've always felt uneasy about animal experimentation.
Can you tell me please, what actually happens in these animal laboratories?
Animal experimentation encompasses two main areas really. The first is toxicity testing and drug development, which involves trying out new drugs and chemicals on animals. Mice, rats, rabbits, guinea pigs, dogs and monkeys are given doses of chemicals or medicines to see if they have toxic side effects. The second area is disease research, which involves investigating human diseases and trying to find potential treatments. Dogs, for example, are used in heart disease research. Scientists mimic heart disease in dogs by tying off their coronary arteries or injecting polystyrene beads into their coronary arteries. Mice are routinely used in cancer research. They're given painful tumours and treatments are tried out on them to see if they work.
And as a doctor, what's your view on this?
As a practicing doctor, these animal experiments are fundamentally flawed. They very seldom give results which can be applied to people, and the diseases created in animals in laboratories are very different to those that I treat every day in my clinical practice.
I'm here to meet animal campaigner Izzy Hutchinson to find out what kind of products are tested on animals.
Gosh, all sorts of things. So chemicals, pesticides, cleaning products, even food additives are often tested on animals. So if we take these household products, for example, things like toilet cleaner, washing up liquid, laundry liquid, bleach, many of these products will contain ingredients that will have been tested on animals.
Are any of them cruelty-free?
Well, products with this leaping bunny logo on that you see here are the best. So own brand products sold in shops like Superdrug, Marks & Spencer, the Co-op, the Body Shop and Lush are amongst the most ethical. So these are the best choices to go for if you want to be a compassionate consumer.
What about toiletries and cosmetics?
Well, toiletries and cosmetics sold in this country are no longer tested on animals. This is because of an EU-wide ban resulting from a successful campaign over many years by animal rights pressure groups. Unfortunately though, it's difficult to be 100% sure because products like this contain lots of different ingredients. So it may be that a chemical used in a cosmetic, for example, has been tested on animals for another reason. So at the moment, I'd still say that the best thing to do is to look for products with this leaping bunny logo on. One company that doesn't test on animals is Lush.
Well, thank you for coming to speak to me. It's absolutely amazing here. It smells incredible. So clearly there are lots of products here. How have they been tested?
We have a panel of human volunteers and what we do is we test it on people, simple as. So it's perfectly possible to fill a whole shop with a whole range of products that aren't tested on animals, and the view that we take is if we can do it, why is anyone else animal testing?
So animals are used for medical research and to test all sorts of products. But the question is, do they suffer in these experiments?
We know that animals are capable of feeling pain and suffering. They have all the biological and physical characteristics, receptors and neurons that we have, how we receive and experience pain. The suffering of small animals is often ignored, but we know that mice are just as capable of feeling pain.
We're going to meet Georgia, a mouse expert who runs a rescue sanctuary for mice. So are mice like humans? They get stressed and things like that?
Oh yeah, definitely. They'll quite often scratch themselves as a sign of stress.
So you can definitely see a similarity of like their emotions.
Oh yeah, definitely. A lot of people are sort of squeamish of mice, but once you've actually met them, it does make all the difference.
Yeah, I don't want to let them go.
They're just a great animal, and people should appreciate them a little bit more than they do at the moment.
So where do we go from here?
Well, it seems like these tests are pretty nasty. I think we should try talking to some research labs. Hello, my name is Callum. I'm currently doing a project on animal testing.
I'm just doing a project on animal testing.
Okay, right, and you're doing a film?
I read on the internet that you guys have some animal testing labs.
Of course we have.
I hear you guys have some labs upstairs. Would it be possible to go and have a look at all? No. No, not at all? No. Well, I'm kind of doing a project on...
You're doing a project to shut us down?
No, I'm just doing a project to find out about it.
Interesting concept.
We couldn't get access to the labs, but I found someone who has undercover footage from inside.
It's really not surprising that you didn't have any luck getting into a laboratory. They are very secretive places. They don't want anybody going inside and seeing what the animals are going through. That's why people have to go in undercover to film.
Animal tests are intended to protect patients and consumers from harmful medicines and other products. But many things that are safe for animals are not safe for humans.
There are three main reasons why animal experiments don't help human medicine. Reason 1. Animals are different from humans in the way their bodies work. It's pretty obvious that we have lots of things in common: a head, 2 lungs, a heart, etc. But important biological differences at the molecular level mean that humans and animals often work quite differently. Rats and mice, for example, can live in sewers and tolerate 1 million times more harmful bacteria in the blood that would kill a person. Animals and people do not always suffer from the same diseases. Take chimpanzees, for example, animals with whom we share more than 98% of our DNA. They don't suffer from fatal forms of AIDS, hepatitis B, or common malaria, diseases which kill millions of people every year. Reason 2. Researchers have to artificially create the diseases in animals that they want to find cures for. For example, dogs are used to study heart disease, but they don't develop heart disease in the same way that people do. Beagles are made to have a heart attack by having a wire tied around their coronary artery. But this isn't the same as a person having a heart attack because they've eaten too much saturated fat. Reason 3. Animals often don't react to chemicals and treatments in the same way as humans. For example, paracetamol is a useful painkiller for people, but is poisonous to cats in anything but the smallest quantities. So animals are not good indicators of how a substance will affect a person.
In fact, more than 9 out of 10 medicines that pass animal tests fail when they're first given to people in human clinical trials. Sometimes things can go terribly wrong.
After responding to an advertisement for the trial with the promise of a financial reward, perhaps as much as £2,000, 6 healthy male volunteers made their way to the Parexel clinic on the 7th floor of Northwick Park Hospital. When they got there, clinicians gave them a dose of the experimental drug based on their body weight. Within 80 minutes, all of the volunteers had fallen gravely ill.
It's often claimed that the answer is to genetically modify animals to make them more like us.
If you could explain, what are genetically modified animals?
The majority of genetically modified or GM animals used in labs are actually mice. And the genetic modification part means knocking out, putting in genetic material into the mouse's natural DNA to do your experiments.
So, are you against genetic research?
Absolutely not. I mean, I am a geneticist. I think it's an important and fascinating technology, but crucially it can be done in a much more relevant way to humans. To illustrate, mice have approximately 80 to 90% of the genes that a human being does, and that's used as justification for using them. The problem is that bananas have about 50% of the genes humans do, and we would never argue that you can research on a banana because they're half human. So there's a growing and burgeoning opinion that the way technologies are developing now, there is just no reason to use animals, even if they were delivering, which they're not. And really the answers are within human-based research, and that's what we need to concentrate on.
So there are loads of alternatives to animal testing, including human tissue culture, scanners, microdosing and computer models. I'm going to meet a professor at Aston University to find out more.
So I understand you do a lot of non-animal research. Can you tell me exactly what that involves?
Well, what we're looking to do is study the effect of toxins and chemicals which might injure humans. We want to test on systems which are human-based rather than using animals. So we're looking to develop cellular models of us, essentially. And we look at the toxins and the effect on the cells, and then we measure how the cells respond.
So how are your methods different from animal testing technology?
Well, the first thing is we don't cause suffering to animals, and that's obviously a key ethical position that we adopt.
So ethics aside, why should people start using your tests rather than testing on animals?
Well, I think the problems we're trying to solve are so complex and difficult that animal systems, animal models are just simply not suitable. They're not specific enough, they don't have exactly the same biochemistry. They're just not good enough for what we want to do. And over the last few years, it's become apparent that many drugs are now failing and they're having to be withdrawn because animal systems did not predict human toxicity accurately enough. And the whole point of animal testing was to find out what a drug would do in humans, and they clearly don't do that accurately enough. So that's why we're replacing them.
So Liz, what are you doing at the moment then?
Well, in this plate we're growing the two main types of brain cells, neurons and astrocytes, which are human.
So I know you're feeding these, but they're not like they don't feel or anything like that, they're just alive.
No, they are living, they grow and they function as human brain cells, but no, they don't have any feelings or consciousness in that sense.
So is this what you call in vitro?
Yeah, in vitro literally means in glass. We use plastic these days, but yeah, the growth of cells and other components in a laboratory.
Okay. How do your results differ then between using animal cells and human cells?
Well, one, it's no animals are harmed using this method. Two, it's human cells, so more relevant to humans. And three, because we're looking at cells, the most basic unit of a human, we can see what effects the drugs and chemicals have at that very basic level.
Could I have a look?
Yep, sure, we can look under the microscope.
Okay. So of course animal testing is a big industry and there's a lot of money in there. Do you find it difficult to find support for non-animal testing?
It has been difficult in the past to get money for our research, but things are improving. And it's good that confidence is improving in alternatives testing.
So what was it like visiting the lab, seeing all these alternatives?
It was amazing, yeah. This is where science should be heading. I mean, this is so much better than what we're doing at the moment.
I don't think the public know enough about what goes on, and if they did, there probably would be a difference.
Yeah, I think if the public knew what was happening, things would change.
As a vet, I would be pleased if all animal experiments were replaced with humane alternatives.
The animals can't speak up for themselves, so it's up to all of us to speak out to everybody that can make a difference.
Our techniques, our methods leave behind animal suffering and we end human suffering at the same time. That's the future for us.
There are lots of products that aren't tested on animals. Just look for the Leaping Bunny logo.